Warning, I swear a lot.
It is 2:41 in the PM and you're watching The Foreman. I'm your host, Foreman, and today I wanted to talk about something that is actually very near and dear to my heart in terms of gaming, which is already near and dear to my heart, and that is gaming soundtracks. Gaming soundtracks are amazing, right? I mean, I feel like I could end the video right there and just say that. Gaming soundtracks are great. Alright, thanks for watching, I'll see you next time. In all seriousness, gaming soundtracks, and this is a similar thing for movies as well, but I will be focused on gaming for the purposes of this Foreman Talks. Soundtracks are so vitally important for the experience of a video game, and I don't just mean in horror, although they are crucially important in horror, to the point where sometimes no sound is also the best soundtrack. Like, sound is exceptionally important there. But in all games, I mean, soundtrack is exceptionally important. And it's evolved in such weird and interesting ways over the years. Like, back in the day, way back in the day, Castlevania, for instance, the original Castlevanias, anyone who watches my Bloodborne series will know this. The Castlevania series had exceptional soundtracks. I love those tunes. Bearing in mind, back then, the reason they did it is because they had very basic sounds to work with. You know, they couldn't really implement instruments, for instance. They had to make do with little bleeps and bloops, so they had to arrange those bleeps and bloops into enjoyable and interesting melodies so that the soundtrack wouldn't suck balls. And as it turns out, they turned out to be really good, especially Castlevania's sake. But like the old Pokemon games, like, you know, the first time you played Pokemon Gold and Silver, the original ones, and the first time you fought Lance in the Elite Four, and it's just that dun-dun, 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 you know, that gets you going. That gets me going like 20 years later. And I hear that now and I'm like, let's fucking go. My forehead will fuck you up, buddy. What do you got? No balls. But soundtracks, I'm pleased with how gaming soundtracks have come along because they've just grown in leaps and bounds and just become cool and interesting in so many games. In the mainstream, I think, I hate to shit on the mainstream because the mainstream isn't necessarily bad, but I will say that in the mainstream, a lot of it is just orchestral now, and it's very generic orchestral, right? It's just like, it's like a swell, but it's a really lifeless swell, and not like Lady Maria's, where that is an orchestral song filled with tension and emotion and feeling and really puts you in the moment. Most of Bloodborne's soundtrack is like that. Very good in that respect, but a lot of the mainstream stuff does tend to be a little bit more generic. This is one of the joys, of course, of delving into indie games, where soundtracks are varied, diverse, and often very interesting. The funny thing is, Darkest Dungeon's soundtrack is also mostly orchestral, I believe. Although the guy who made it, was it Stuart Chadwood? I think it's Stuart Chadwood. When he's not working on Darkest Dungeon soundtrack, he's in a band. I can't remember the name, but it's like, it's described as Moroccan roll, as in Morocco, you know, the place. I've never listened to it. I really should because I adore his work on Darkest Dungeon, so I really want to check that out. But the soundtrack for Darkest Dungeon is fucking stellar. The sound design, everything about the audio in Darkest Dungeon is incredible, but we are focusing on music for now. Like, I could talk for hours about how good Wayne Jewell's voice is in Darkest Dungeon, but once again, music. The music in Darkest Dungeon is fantastic. It drips with the right amount of tone. The Hamlet theme and the camping themes are great in that they're these little moments of reprieve where it's more calming and it's more soothing, but it also carries that air of things are still wrong and you have to go back out and face it soon. But for now, everything is chill. Just take a moment to relax. And then you get Town in Chaos, which is one of my favorite pieces of gaming music ever in anything, because I love the feeling that comes from listening to Town in Chaos. In fact, future me, play it now for just a few seconds. Just, you know, play the intro leading into it. Now that music plays traditionally. It's applied to a few more contexts now as more things have been added to Darkest Dungeon, but originally I believe that music played when Wolf's brigands attacked the town, hence why it's called Town in Chaos. And it conveyed the exact right emotion. The first time I heard that, the first time I had to defend the hamlet from Wolf, I was like, oh, this is some fucking shit. Oh, we're in it now. Oh, we're in it now. The stakes are high, despite the fact if you fail that or lose or ignore it or whatever, I think you just have some of your buildings downgraded or something like that. It's not like the end of the world or anything. I don't think you lose the campaign for not doing it. But it feels like there are stakes. It feels like everything is riding on this. It feels like we have to stand our ground here or it's all over. We have to fight them off. We have to win. Everything about the sound of it, the drums are insane. The strings are always amazing in Darkest Dungeon soundtrack, it goes without saying, but everything about the Town in Chaos song and the context in which it is used, in which you have 4 heroes walking through a destroyed hamlet, fighting max level bandits, and then eventually going up against Wolf himself, really just conveys this desperate need to, like, we have to win. Oh, I think the Town in Chaos theme is played in the Darkest Dungeon itself as well, which is an excellent place to put it, because it carries that level of gravity. I actually don't know if it's in the Darkest Dungeon. Don't quote me on that. I think that might be different. It's definitely in the hamlet, though, and it's definitely when you fight the Shrieker. I know that much. But what a great fucking song. Another song worthy of note in Darkest Dungeon soundtrack is the Senescence. I don't actually know how to say that word properly, but that, alongside the Town in Chaos track, I have used a lot in my videos, and once again, I'm actually going to have Future Me play it, so listen to it for a sec. Now that track is typically follows. I don't know what the exact prerequisite is for it to happen. Like, I don't know what specific event has to take place within the Color of Madness to make that happen. But it's one of the ones where you interact with where you're going through the Endless Harvest shit or whatever. When you go kill the Miller, for instance, and something happens to the environment. And like the first time I saw that, I think it was on my really old Darkest Dungeon series, which I don't recommend you check out because it does not hold a fucking candle to the one we're doing right now. But in that one, I'd never seen it before, and an event happened, and the colors went insane. It was like orange, yellow, blue bursting out of the background, and then enemies spawned, and the Senescence started playing, and I was like, this is the dopest shit. This is so cool. Because it really creates this idea of just like, where the fuck are we? Where the fuck are we? What are we even fighting? What's going on? What the fuck's going on? I don't know, but we have to win or we're gonna die. We have to fight, but what the fuck's going on? It's just this exceptional feeling. Oh man. I love that. Those two tracks, like Darkest Dungeon has a very good soundtrack. I like how the Siren boss fight has like female vocals in the background. It's just the normal Cove battle theme, but it has the siren vocals, which is nice. But none of the other tracks really come close to those two. Nice touch is at the Warrens theme, which is already pretty cool. When it gets down to Zero Torchlight, it's practically drowned out by the sound of the pigmen squealing, which is intimidating. Nice touches, but nothing comes close to Town in Chaos or the Senescence, in my opinion. I haven't heard the final combat yet. I have never beaten Darkest Dungeon because I always start new games. I haven't heard the final combat yet. I don't know if that's good or not. I've intentionally avoided it up to this point. We will find out at the end of this series what that sounds like. Oh, honorable mention, the Vermintide soundtrack. Very good. I enjoy it a lot. The standard battle track is really intimidating. And I remember the music that played when I fought the... what the fuck's it called? It's the Rat Ogre boss, Storm something. I don't know what it's called, I can't remember. But That was a really cool track. It had a really good feeling to it. Once again, probably not as good as, say, Town in Chaos or the Senescence, but a really good track. That was one of the things that gripped me about the Vermintide straight away, was that the track was very good. For those of you who don't know and aren't following the series, I'm referring to the Vermintide mod for Darkest Dungeon, not the game's Vermintide, though I'm sure they probably have good soundtracks, I don't know. But I haven't played them very much, so I can't say. Oh, well, I mean, Left 4 Dead. Hey, if we're getting on that topic, Left 4 Dead has an exceptional soundtrack. The music is good. It has its own quite recognizable theme. And especially the music strings that play when certain special zombies show up. Great touch. Every person who plays Left 4 Dead for a considerable amount of time gets to a point where they can 100% identify what special infected is nearby purely through a few notes. Because they all have different ones, and you can tell. Left 4 Dead is a great example of a good gaming soundtrack. Steredenn's gaming... I forgot about Steredenn. Now, none of you fucking care about Steredenn, and I understand, alright? It's something I keep pushing, and no one is biting. No one's biting. No one's biting the bait on this lure. I get it. But Steredenn's soundtrack is dope. Is it smart? No. It's not designed to convey any kind of advanced feeling or interesting perspective on events. It is just a hard rock sci-fi soundtrack to complement the really colorful visuals and frantic action. I love the soundtrack for Steredenn because it fucking slaps. Just solid riffs all fucking day. Steredenn's soundtrack is dope. The Binding of Isaac, of course. How could I forget? I've only got Rebirth. I didn't get the newest Binding of Isaac, but in Rebirth, what was it? There's the Cellar soundtrack and the Basement on Fire. Let me quickly check my files because I've got them downloaded. I use these sometimes for videos because I find tracks I like and then I use them. Oh man, there's a lot I can talk about here. Jesus Christ. Okay, but let's get to those in a minute. Yeah, the Cellar theme. Oh, the Cellar theme is sick. The Cellar theme is so good. And then, is it literally just called Burning Basement? Oh god, yeah. I forgot some of the boss fight music in Binding of Isaac. Infanticide, there's Hericide, and Matricide. Those three songs in Binding of Isaac are insanely good. Really makes those fights feel significant. Really makes it feel like a do or die moment. Excellent, excellent, excellent tracks. I'm actually going to go through my downloaded tracks because this is going to be an easy way to find good songs because I typically just download songs I like. I think we could start with the Persona 3 soundtrack. I use that quite a lot. Persona 3 soundtrack was exceptional. That one was a lot more focused on rap, I think, out of the Persona songs, but there's some really good hard rock tracks in there and some chill, like, pop kind of songs, and it's nice. Persona 5, I'll breeze through the Persona ones because if Persona is known for anything, it's good soundtrack, so we'll breeze through this. Persona 5 soundtrack is amazing. I fucking love the Persona 5 soundtrack. It is so good. Rivers in the Desert for extremely important boss fights, really fucking good. Layer Cake being a surprisingly enjoyable shop screen song that I actually use when I'm cooking. Like if I'm cooking something that takes more than like 2 minutes, I will put on Layer Cake because it's just fun. It has a nice atmosphere to it. Everyone knows Beneath the Mask. Beneath the Mask is a great chill song. And then finally, most importantly, also though the intro song is really good. Listen to the intro song in full when you get the chance because it just sounds great. And Last Surprise, how could I forget Last Surprise? And then Persona Royal brought in a whole bunch of new really good tracks. The new intro for Royal was really good. The new battle theme for Royal, which you get when you land an ambush, is really fucking good. But the best example of music in Persona 5 by far has to be Life Will Change. Life Will Change is exceptional. The way it shows up on every heist and the beat. The beat goes to the flashing red on the screen, which shows that the palace is at 100% alert level. And you hear that kicking in, you hear the riffs, and you're like, we're going in, boys. Boys, we're going in. We're gonna go in there, we're gonna steal the treasure, and it's gonna be fucking sick. I think that's as much about Persona 5 as I need to do, otherwise I'll do the entire video on Persona 5, because that soundtrack is godlike. But, yeah, Persona 5 soundtrack, amazing. A great example of a modern game with an exceptional soundtrack that is actually quite mainstream, because Persona 5 was really successful. For a long time, Persona was not very well known, but then I think Persona 4 was kind of a breakout for it, and then Persona 5 was like using that momentum and is now really well known. And then Persona 3, less well known, but I loved Persona 3. I played it through to the end, and that game's really good. But I'm getting off topic here. Persona. Catherine has an excellent soundtrack. Same developers, that's Atlas as well. May as well stay on this subject while we're here so we can move on fully. The Catherine soundtrack is sick. Very, very horror-esque without actually being a proper horror soundtrack. And there's a lot of funky stuff in there too, groovy stuff. The intro song is amazing. I've used that in quite a few videos because the intro song is so fucking bouncy and enjoyable. It's just great, just great. Atlas do music very well. I don't know if they do their own music or if they get someone else in for it or whatever, but whatever they're doing it right. They're doing it right. They're doing it right. Have any of you guys ever played Battle Brothers? Battle Brothers is an indie game about managing a mercenary band in a fictional medieval fantasy setting. Mostly realistic sort of thing, so it's like not a lot of magic and not a lot of magical creatures, but they do appear, and when they do appear it's a big deal because it's a mostly like fairly bog standard boring medieval setting, but this is kind of supposed to be the point in that it's grounded and people just die of like fucking, you got cut, you bled out, you died, you got an infection, you fucking died, whatever. Really cool game. I love Battle Brothers. It is unforgivingly brutally hard. Like, that game does not give a fuck about what you want. It will just kill your dudes, doesn't care. But one of the DLCs, which brought barbarians from the north, and the song is called Warriors of the North Adrenaline Rush. That track, as like a fantasy combat track, is oh man, it gets you going. It is so good. First time I listened to it, I was like, all right, and then it starts to kick in, and I was like, okay, yeah. Picture the Vince McMahon theme, yeah? With every 20 seconds of the song that plays is my standard reaction, enhanced reaction, major reaction, maximum overdrive reaction, just like the red screen with the white flashing eyes over how good that track is. Especially when I fought a barbarian king. And the battle just kind of seemed to work out, and this song was just... it's just inspiring us to greater heights of heroism. It is an amazing song. It's so phenomenal. Such feeling, strong feeling behind it. It's so good. Of course, I've just come across one, and we really can't go on without talking about it. The Doom soundtrack. Now, I've only got Doom 2016. I haven't played Doom Eternal, and I've intentionally ignored everything about Doom Eternal except for the track The Only Thing They Fear Is You, because that track is exceptionally good. And I accidentally listened to it one day, and I was like, I ain't even upset that I've spoiled it for myself, I guess, because this track is amazing. But like, yeah, Doom 2016, BFG Division, Vega Core. Vega Core is an awful song. You don't listen to it for fun, but Vega Core is a sick track. It is a sick track for a combat scenario, especially ones that come up in Doom. I wouldn't listen to Vega Core for fun or to relax, but I sure do appreciate Vega Core when it shows up in the game. I haven't actually listened to it in game. That's the funniest thing. You want to know where I've listened to Vega Core? I listened to it in XCOM 2 because I got a mod that downloaded the Doom soundtrack to XCOM 2. So I've listened to Vega Core in XCOM 2, not in Doom, because I haven't got that far. I was doing a series on it and I kind of fell off. I might get back on that at some point. Let me know if you want to see that, but irrelevant. We're moving on. I talked about Bloodborne. Cleric Beast is one of the best pieces of music I've ever heard. I use it in the ending of all my Bloodborne videos because I love that track so much. We can move on. I talked about Castlevania. Castlevania is great. Ah, the Clocktower theme. Don't Cry Jennifer. Yeah, that's a really eerie track. Have you ever listened to it? You'll actually know if you've heard it. I'll play a small excerpt of it, and if you recognize it, you'll recognize it, right? But yeah, that is iconic, that track. That is like the shh, shh, shh. Friday the 13th. Iconic. Which is a shame, because Clocktower is fucking garbage now, but the original Clocktower, oh boy, that's a fucking horror game. I can't talk about gaming soundtracks without talking about Life is Beautiful by Deadly Premonition, because it's such a fun, happy song, and that game is such a fun, happy game, and also so horrifically fucked up in ways that it doesn't really acknowledge. It's weird. It's a weird game, and Life is Beautiful is a weird song, but it's amazing. I'll link all the songs I've talked about in the description, or I won't necessarily post links because you can find this shit on YouTube really easily. How do you think I found it? But I'll put the names of all the songs in the description. If any of them interest you, go look them up for yourself. I recommend, everyone I mention I will pretty much recommend entirely because they're great. Deadly Premonition, definitely. If you just want to kick back and relax, listen to Life is Beautiful. It's a really good song. Oh my god, the Dragon Quest VIII soundtrack. Oh yes. Oh yes, a triple. It's so good, guys. Like, I am biased because Dragon Quest VIII is my favoriteest game of all time. That is my #1 favorite game. I'm not saying no game is better. I'm not saying Dragon Quest VIII is the best game ever, because A, that's subjective, B, personal taste is a factor, and C, to be blunt, it isn't. I'm sure there are games that you could say are subjectively better, even with its own genre, let alone games in general. But Dragon Quest VIII is my favorite game ever, and the soundtrack is dope. It's so good. There's a song that plays during sad moments, and it actually makes my tear ducts like tingle when I hear it, because I feel a little teary when I hear it. Now, once again, I might be biased on this. The effect the soundtrack has on me might be because I first played it when I was like 10, and it became my favorite game ever. So, you know, that maybe I'm biased. Maybe I'm biased, but really good soundtrack. Really good soundtrack. Oh god, Empress of Fire from Dragon Age Inquisition. Just the Dragon Age Inquisition soundtrack is actually phenomenal. All the Bard songs, the Tavern songs are amazing. I love them all. Empress of Fire, both in English and French, sounds great. Enchanter is a track I really didn't like for the longest time, and now I love it, and it might be my favorite. I really like Enchanter. And there was a, there's a cover artist. What's her name? I can't remember what her name is. I want to say Catherine Freya? Freya Catherine, maybe? Hang on, let me look up on my phone. I know I can find it. Yes, Freya Catherine. That's her name. And let me find a specific song that is actually dope as hell. Freya Catherine, Dragon Age Inquisition medley, The Dawn Will Come. Listen to that with headphones. You will fight an army if you listen to that. You'll be up for it. Because it's so motivating. You feel so strong listening to it. It's incredible. Oh yeah, the Dragon Age Inquisition is soundtrack for sure. But also, Freya Catherine does good fucking work. If you like Warframe, listen to her cover of We All Live Together, or We All Live Together, yeah, Live Together, whatever the hell it's called. The fucking, what's it called? What's it called? Whatever, you know what I mean. We All Live Together. Listen to that. It's really good. Oh my god, yeah. The fucking, got on the complete other end of the spectrum, kind of. What's it called? Why can't I remember the names of anything right now? Command & Conquer Red Alert 3, that's it, the Command & Conquer Red Alert 3 soundtrack. Now, you wouldn't think that a hard rock, fast-paced soundtrack would work for a strategy game, like an RTS, but it does, and it's exceptional. And the game itself is actually really good with its soundtrack, because the tracks sort of kick in and fade away depending on what's happening. Tracks will really start kicking in when you're fighting and will fade away once the fighting is over, and the track will kick in fully when you're destroying the enemy base, and then when you've destroyed it, it will like go into the chorus of that song as the victory plays, like a victory image is shown, and it feels great. It feels great. Everything about the Red Alert 3 soundtrack is phenomenal, which is kind of a shame about Tiberium Wars, you know that Command & Conquer series. Soundtrack's not nearly as good. Not nearly as good. I like the Tiberium series, but not nearly as good in terms of soundtrack. The fucking, like, I'm not going to blow anyone's mind with this, but it's definitely worth mentioning. The Zelda soundtrack. The Legend of Zelda soundtrack. is an exceptional series for its music. I think one of the best pieces of gaming music I've ever heard in my life was the Song of Storms. I think the Song of Storms is amazing. Something about it, it's so simple, but it sounds so good. And it doesn't even mean that much, really, the track itself. It just kind of pops up out of nowhere, and it's just the catchiest thing I've ever fucking heard in my life. I love it. But yeah, like the Hyrule Temple soundtrack, which was it was from Zelda 2, and then they put it in Smash Bros for some reason, and that track is phenomenal. Obviously, The Lost Woods has honorable mention. You can't talk about the Zelda soundtrack without talking about The Lost Woods. The little shop music in Ocarina of Time is fun. Wind Waker had some exceptional tracks like Dragon Roost Island, amazing. And this is a weird one, right? I don't know why I like this, but the Forest Temple theme from Ocarina of Time, I can sit and listen to that while I'm doing something for like an hour. And it's not even really a song. It's just like choiry vocals with some weird like beepy sounds. I highly recommend you listen to that just to... In fact, I'll play it. I'll play what I'm talking about. Now, I don't know what it is about that, but I really like listening to it. I really like listening to it. Something about it sounds good. I can't explain it, and it would take too long for me to try and figure it out right now, but yeah, the Zelda soundtrack. Gerudo Valley from Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time itself, just Ocarina of Time, has an amazing soundtrack, but the rest of the games do too. I'm more familiar with the Ocarina of Time soundtrack, but yeah, Zelda does well. Zelda does well as in video game soundtracks, for real. I mean, Undertale. Right, Undertale and Deltarune. I'm not sure there's much I need to say about those, because chances are you've heard them. Chances are you've heard them extensively. Chances are you've listened to multiple cover artists who have also done covers of the Undertale soundtrack. So I've listened to a fuck ton of cover artists on the Undertale soundtrack because it is literally that good. I've listened to jazz covers by Insane in the Rain Music. I've listened to Richard E.B.'s Determination album, which is like one of the most well-known ones. I've listened to Family Jewels do it, and Toxic Eternity. Gooseworks. Gooseworks is great. Their fucking Undertale covers are amazing. I love Gooseworks. Such an interesting sound. I highly recommend them. But Undertale, I don't think I need to say much more about it other than the fact that his theme still nearly makes me cry. Because it does. Fallen Down and his theme nearly make me cry. Because, I don't need to go into that. No More Heroes. Are you guys familiar with No More Heroes? No More Heroes has a dope soundtrack. Goes from like funk to hard rock to Japanese punk. It's incredible soundtrack. No More Riot, Convulsive Madness, Psycho Warrior, Beam Katana Chronicles. Really, really good music. Really good music. The games themselves, they can vary in quality, but the music, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh hey, Novasteus doing the Unstuck. That's not a gaming soundtrack song, but you should listen to it anyway. I'm gonna put a link to that one in the description. Fucking fight me, you won't. No balls. Oh yeah, Peace Death. This is a little more obscure. Have you guys heard of Peace Death? It's kind of this game where you play a Reaper, and which is weird because you don't actually collect souls or anything, but you sit at a desk in hell, and you have to judge people whether they go to heaven or hell or purgatory or whatever, and it has the most bumpin' rock soundtrack I've ever heard in my life. Not fast-paced, slow tempo, hard rock. Really good. Catastrophe and Reaper are two exceptional tracks in Peace Death. I even did a video on this once for my birthday, like, I don't know, a year or two ago, where I did it just to talk about the music because I loved it so much. exceptional. Oh, Stardust Vanguard. I don't get to talk about Stardust Vanguards nearly enough. Stardust Vanguards is a sick game. Stardust Vanguards is fucking dope. It's not anything amazing, it's not anything incredible, which is weird considering what I just said. It's a very basic premise, mainly designed around multiplayer, either doing local PvP or local co-op. But Stardust Vanguards is just this little, like, hyper sci-fi anime mecha little game. And, you know, you have these little mech suits, and you fight ships or each other, and you can shoot bullets, and you can swing your sword and use your sword to deflect bullets, and you can get points from killing enemies to call in reinforcements. Really cool game. The soundtrack is fucking nuts. Really strong sci-fi hard rock. Kind of like Steredenn, but with its own style. Really cool. Recommend that one. Specifically, I recommend the Scarlet Kingdom anthem and the Emerald Coalition anthem. Really good. Really, really good. Really good. The Tekken 5 intro song, Sparking, because that is sick. If you haven't seen the Tekken 5 intro, go watch it. It is, in my opinion, the best intro video games have ever had. And yeah, that includes Bloodborne's, which is really good. And many others. Even Red Alert 3, whose intro is exceptional. Nah, it's all about Tekken 5. It's all about Tekken 5. That intro is incredible. And Sparking is such a good, bad song. I love Sparking. Oh, to be fair, honorable mention to Warframe. We did mention We All Live Together. Freya Catherine's cover of that is very good, but the original song is also incredible. And Sleeping in the Cold Below, really good track. And the track, I'm going to try and avoid spoilers here just in case, but there's a track in the new war, in the big new thing that happens in Warframe. There's a track in there which I won't spoil because it is a big spoiler, but that track is really good and is used really effectively and really reinforces the context of the situation. The setting, the tone is really good, but I'm not going to spoil anything about it. Definitely very good. Yes, very good. Yakuza. The Yakuza series has pretty solid music overall. I think Yakuza 5 kind of fell off a little bit, but Yakuza 4's soundtrack, that battle theme, oh boy, very good. And Yakuza 0 has a really good soundtrack. Yakuza 0's soundtrack is insane. The intro song, the English intro song, is dope as hell. Makes you feel like a god. Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories, like, nothing particularly special about it, but it's a good soundtrack that I really like listening to. I also extend that to Duels to the Roses, because that was, I think, the same people. Really good soundtracks, and Duels to the Roses had some of the same tracks, but like modernized, with different arrangements, different instruments, stuff like that. Really cool, actually. Very good. If you're into very specific Yu-Gi-Oh! Games, they're good soundtracks. That's all I've got in my, downloaded on my computer, though. Amazing. Simply amazing tracks. And these tracks, a lot of these games would be good without this music, right? If they had something a little more generic, they would still be good games. But this music elevates them. It is such a buff to the games that they're featured in. And the games wouldn't be the same without them. The games wouldn't be nearly as good. The music does everything. It's so critically important to your video game that you have a good soundtrack, an interesting soundtrack. Cuphead's soundtrack is perfect for Cuphead, because it is exactly what it is. There's no other way to put it. Cuphead's soundtrack wouldn't fit anywhere else, and Cuphead couldn't have any other soundtrack other than the one it has. It's perfect. Literally chef's kiss, perfect for what it is. It couldn't be better. I played Dead Pixels with Cellar the other day, and that's got like a silly, over-the-top, like, very simple rock soundtrack, but that fits because Dead Pixel is supposed to be like zombie B-movies. Like, that's supposed to be the whole thing. It's supposed to be stupid, shooting zombies fun. So it just has a stupid rock soundtrack, and it's good. It fits. I like it. There's nothing wrong with that at all. This is definitely one where a couple hours after I finish recording, I'm going to think about it and be like, oh no, that would have been a really good one. I should have talked about that song, the music. Oh no, I forgot about this game. Oh, this game has the best soundtrack. And, you know, it's just, it's going to come to me in waves. That's how it's going to be. Oh, Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures has a great soundtrack. Really good soundtrack. And that game is fucking infuriating, but you put up with it because the music's so good. Good. I remember Clanman. Clanman had a good soundtrack. Nothing standout, it was just pleasant and nice and made it more enjoyable. Clanman 2, open mic. Free demo for the upcoming game, Clanman 2. Don't know when that's coming out. They haven't said anything about it. But go download that demo and give it a try. It's a really cool game. I really enjoyed my time with it. Really enjoyed it. Oh, Massive Chalice actually has... Massive Chalice is a pretty obscure one. It's a game about trying to establish families, like, sort of ruling houses, establishing them and marrying the people in between them to produce warriors, specific warriors with specific traits to defend your world, country area from monsters, and you have to do it for like a full year, or is it like 500 years or so? It's not a year, it's like 500 years or something. It's a ridiculous amount of time. A weird game, cool game, very cool game, weird game. The battle music is awesome. Really good battle track. I can't remember what it's called right now. I swear I have it in my files, actually. I don't know how I missed it. Go back down, go back down, go back down. Yeah, Massive Chalice. To Battle. It's called To Battle. Really good track. Highly recommend that. I remember Loftrousers had a great soundtrack. Loftrousers is a sick game. Loftrousers is a sick game. You should buy it, you should play it. That's all I'm going to say on that front. I mean, I guess honorable mention to SteamWorld Heist because it literally has Steam Powered Giraffe music in it, but I don't think it counts if your game takes music, real music. You know what I mean? This is a little different because I think Steam Powered Giraffe recorded some of their songs specifically for SteamWorld Heist. Like, what we need are some heroes and stars, the stars, I think it might have been called. I don't know, I can't remember. But they get a pass because I think they recorded it specifically for SteamWorld Heist. But I'm talking stuff like, you know, GTA and Saints Row or whatever, where they just take real songs and get the licenses for them and put them in the game. Don't get me wrong, that is a good idea. And I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. Often it's very good and used to good effect. Like Brutal Legend has a moment in it where it uses the song Her Ghost in the Fog by Cradle of Filth. Yeah, I listened to one song by Cradle of Filth. And it's used so effectively that it made me adore the song. And the song is actually really good if you're into that kind of thing, which I guess I am to some extent. But Brutal Legend uses that song so fucking well that I'm like, alright, Brutal Legend, you get a free pass. And I can say you have a good soundtrack because you used it effectively. Fair enough. But for the most part, I think a game that just has real songs and implements them, that doesn't count as having a good gaming soundtrack because they're not your songs. You didn't make them. You're just taking songs, buying songs basically, you know, paying for the licenses, whatever, and putting them in. Doesn't quite count. Doesn't make it bad. It just doesn't really count for this discussion, as it were. But SteamWorld Heist, they recorded the songs for it themselves. I'm pretty sure the Steam Powered Giraffe were behind this, and like, I don't know if they were publishing it or whatever. I can't remember the exact story. But they were heavily involved and they recorded songs for it, so fair enough. SteamWorld Heist is great. The tracks are good. The tracks are great, actually, but you know. Is there anything else here, or can we end for the day? Yeah, I think that's about it. There's no sense in dragging this out any longer than it needs to be. These are just some examples. There are so many games out there with so many amazing soundtracks. So many soundtracks that really reinforce the feelings involved with playing those games. I didn't talk about Bloodborne much today. I don't think I need to because I'm currently doing a series on Bloodborne, but Bloodborne's soundtrack is exceptional for this, probably because there is no music for most of the game, which makes the boss fights... I think it meant they could focus on making the boss fight music more. They could put more effort into it because they had less to do. And the lack of music the whole time makes the music of the boss fights even more impressive and hit you even more. But, yeah, there are so many. I'm gonna remember more and regret not mentioning them in this video. I know for a fact I will. I know for a fact I will. I'm looking down at some of my PS4 games right now to see if I'm getting any last minute inspiration. Nothing's jumping at me. It's fine. But let me know, what are your favorite gaming soundtracks? What gaming soundtracks or specific pieces of gaming music from games, whatever, I don't know what the term is, but you know what I mean. specific pieces or just general gaming soundtracks that have, for you personally, elevated an experience, really took it to the next level. And even to this day, you hear it and you fucking feel it. You feel it deep inside, and it is literally that good. Or to mention some that suck. I don't know. Did you guys hear the Resident Evil 1 track? You know that one? You know that one? Future me, play it. Yeah, that was the director's cut song for the fucking Mansion Basement. I can't remember the exact details of that story. I think they lost the music or something. I can't remember. They had to drum something up really quickly, and that's what they came out with, and it was really funny. But yeah, good or bad, let me know. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you don't like. Let me know what songs really affected you, what tracks really get you going or make you feel something, whatever. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you like. Recommend some to me. Shit, I'm willing to hear more. But I'm rambling. It's time to end for the day. Thank you so much for watching. I really do enjoy doing Foreman Talks, actually, because I just get to talk about the things I like and things I'm interested in. I get very passionate, and I'm especially passionate about gaming soundtracks. It's a very specific, weirdly niche thing to be passionate about, but I just love gaming soundtracks. They really make the experience for me. They do everything for it, really. I listen to music all the fucking time. You rarely see me without headphones on. But I'm rambling once more. It's time to end for the day. Thank you so much for watching. Whatever happens next time, and I don't know what I'm going to talk about next time, but that's always the case. If you have anything you want me to talk about, let me know. But otherwise, whatever I talk about, I hope I see you there. Toodles. Goodbye.